I'm scared, the owner of the site. I think it's very helpful. It's very well, and there are. The rules of the engagement for tonight is that each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce himself. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide a response to questions asked. It will be randomly selected except for 2 round robin questions. The timekeeper will provide a warning to see a yellow sign when there is 15 seconds remaining, and will show a red sign when time is up. There will be no rebuttal except at the end of the last 2 minutes remaining taken. Hopefully the candidate will be your next mayor. I'm Jerry Red. I lived in Britain good years president. What 8 years I run for mayor. Is the state. I haven't seen any progress. The tax base and the variable, I don't see them. I haven't seen certainly trending. We haven't had a executor that has been implementing the home rule, which means the home rule is for us to be able to govern our city, to be able to make, be able to plan and develop and implement policies that affect our quality of life, improve our quality. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm W. Reed Gassior, the current mayor, and before that, I was through Sullivan for 22 years in the legislature. Welcome to the beautiful Passage Theater. During my administration, we actually did repairs to the roof and brought in an HVAC system. Outside, you'll see the Montgomery Plaza that was restored. Across the street, you'll see the Jackson Street Bridge that we also restored. And it's a restoration of trying to and moving forward so that we can bring us back to when the capital city was indeed relevant. One of the things that I did was to increase state aid and working with the state. In my first term, the first year, there was $6 million from the state. Today, we're up to $27 million. And it's not enough, but we keep on bringing more revenue into the city. In fact, the last budget cycle, Mayoral tax.
The question is around our question. The question is, why do you want this job and why are you the best candidate? Because I would like to be passed first to the first and then to the city.
A lot of ground. The other thing that we did was restore Hessel Pool. I don't know if you had a chance to go over there, but it's an award-winning pool that we're bringing back. We're also working on restoring the senior centers. There's so much that we need to do, but the important thing is to bring folks together. And I think I'm in the best position to bring all the neighborhoods together, all people with all different economic backgrounds to come together to move our city forward. We are the capital city and should be treated like the capital city. And that's one of the things that I've strived to do. It's unfortunate 2 of our opponents currently in council have been obstructing for the last 4 years, trying to stop any kind of progress. Rolling Block 2 comes to mind. There's 7 abandoned buildings for the last 50 years. We propose to bring the first one to life and bring it in a fiber optic company called Princetel. Unfortunately, council wouldn't allow us to sell that property to Princetel, and they decided to set up shop in Hamilton. One of the other things we did an RFP to develop the entire block. 7 buildings, 5 developers have expressed interest in redeveloping Rolling Block 2. Council has just sat on it and impeding our progress. So I'm looking forward to a brand new council incoming, so we can do so much more and work together and move the city forward.
Yes, I want this job because I'm a visionary. I'm an innovator. I'm resourceful, objective, and I can retain a great deal of information to integrate in various methodologies and bringing the city forward. Just what we just heard, what we just heard, this city can move forward if we utilize, if we actually implement jobs that help bring it forward. Right now, what I've been hearing the last 4 years and prior to that is bring other entities in here to do what we can do ourselves. We have the workforce, and workforce wants to be put into actually want to be employed to actually bring the city forward. I think I have the leadership to do that. I think we have people here that can provide the insight, I don't say exactly job training. Some of the contractors here in the city are ready to do this, but most of them have to go out of town, or in the township, to construct or renovate homes and whatnot. There are services that need to be implemented that can create employment, not just in the city of Trenton, outside the city of Trenton. We keep hearing that the reason why we've been in key is because of this reason, that reason, but council only provides oversight. It's council's responsibility to make sure those contracts, when they come onto that docket, is appropriate for the city. So if there's any impediment, it has to be with the administration.
Okay, the next question brings it from a little bit to our north. Our community is diverse and connected to the need for comprehensive solutions to address a variety of small issues. Considering our district, which includes parts of Martin Street, South Broad Street, Millbank neighborhood, Kingsbury House, Architect House, and so forth. Can you identify a specific issue and describe what kind of intervention or program you would measurably improve quality of life for the residents in this area?
You want me to go first? Okay. You can go in first next time. One that comes to me on mind is Kingsbury Tower. It's over 50 years old. It's an ancient building. You'll often see fire trucks there because alarms go off. Residents complain about central heating and also air conditioning. The buildings have to come down. And what we're working right now with HMFA, it's a federal project, working with the federal government and also HMFA, the state agency. We have to come up with a design to replace the towers. One of the things, if you've gone up beyond Donnelly Homes, is Turner's Point, which was the old Page homes that were abandoned. They've been torn down. We have a village now there. And what we're working on next is Donnelly Homes to actually down, put the buildings down, and recreate a village there as well. We hope to do that with Kingsbury, and it will be a much more environment to raise children and to be more of a community where the residents are at stake. So I think that's one of my biggest concerns for the future of this area. I know Mill Hill will take care of itself, the residents, but we want to preserve Mill Hill as well, because it's such a beautiful historic neighborhood as well.
Yes, Trenton, put together, it's called the Master Plan Trenton 250, because I know that's one of the questions, I guess this is the first that into this, the conversation here. And the point of the master plan is for the future development and the location, character, and timing of future development, and serve as a statement of community development objectives. So we have this in place, but for some reason, we spent a lot of money putting that plan together and it's not being implemented. So my concern is, one of the reasons I'm running for it is to reevaluate, reassess what we have already put our tax dollars to help the redevelopment and the development of the city. There's a master plan. There's a land plan. There's a dense population. So we got neighborhoods with vacant or abandoned properties in North, well, it's not in North anymore, I apologize. But take downtown Trenton, for example. We all keep speaking about downtown Trenton when it used to be. We have a master plan. Why hasn't that been implemented? We're talking about, and when I look at these state of the city addresses, it talks about all this money is being applied in Trenton, but I don't see where the money is being applied. That's one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor. So I'm going to revisit that 250 master plan and come up with a strategy with the residents and figure out how we can implement it to address our situation. Because the plan is there. You have all these various authorities here, the zoning board, planning board. I mean, what's going on here? Why is all these plans been implemented? So, that's what I plan to do.
So the next question, go first. The next question is come around. He plans to work across all departments to improve the efficiency and transparency of action and business processes within the city. What will be your approach to cannabis industry in turn?
How do I work with those entities, those business entities you're saying with cannabis?
Well, yeah, what will be your approach to the cannabis industry? But the first part of that question is how we work with needs across all departments to improve the efficiency and transparency of action and business processes.
Well, the business processes within the city has to be evaluated. The issue that I, as a resident, I know most of you here, is the issue with the services that we don't, some of the services there either, we had trash pickup twice a week. And from my understanding, people are complaining about the dumping. People are complaining about the dumping in the alleyways, the trees growing on city property. People are complaining about all the blight within the city. But we're not seeing the services being performed for the money that we're paying out in taxes. So I plan to go in and do a audit of the operation, not the audit that we do of the county, but the audit of the operation. Maybe some of the roles or the units within the city are outdated. Those departments or units were established so long ago. We're in a different time now. We're in the 21st century. So we're going to have to reevaluate those services and those units so it works, so we actually see the services are being provided with these, providing the services that are needed within the city. And what in regards to the cannabis, situation, I don't know problem with the cannabis. The issue that I have right now with, cannabis is the fact that we have a growth problem here in the city. We have an issue where that before we try to implement this cannabis in the neighborhoods, it should be concentrated in one area. And I would say it should be more concentrated in the downtown area, not in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
No, it's very fast. All right, how do you intend to work in a coordinated fashion with the council of the city, including the PDA, to create common objectives which are beneficial to the city and its residents that are aligned with identified goals and plans and is sustainable?
Well, the nonprofits are in many aspects the backbone to the city, and oftentimes the city can't afford to extend services. You look at the Rescue Commission where they service the homeless, and up to Capital City Farm is run by a nonprofit. And on, but we have maintained really good relationships. Part of our ARPA money, we set aside $2 million for nonprofits to apply to us. Pastor Steer is one of the nonprofits that was awarded money from ARPA, and that's to do creative writing skills for teenagers for after-school activities. And they actually wrote a play about Edgepath Williams. Edgepath Williams was a precursor of Brown v. Board of Education, happened actually right here in Trenton. And Pastor Spear was able to work with the students and bring that story to life. And was able to see their first reading, and it's an exciting project. But we're also working with Meals on Wheels to make sure that they can extend more services to deliver meals to folks. Children's Home Society to help with their programs of bringing nutritional programs to kids and mothers to making sure the families get a fresh start. So the nonprofits are really important, and it's important that administrations do work with the nonprofits to make sure that we're all working together to keep the fabric of the city going.
And if we project, in terms of the nonprofits, well, we understand the service and component of the nonprofit, but I also see that the question is about, we have a PDA that's not support, development of town. What I think we want to see, our goals and objectives, and the
Just announced that we're going to do a makeover for downtown, working with the Downtown Association. South Water Street is going to get new sidewalks and curbing, and skirts, new lighting. We're going to put lighting in the trees and above to make it more welcoming for outside visitors. But we really think that we need this partner with TDA to make sure our downtown things on the lot. The other thing is next to Mercer County College, across the street, so all those abandoned buildings, they are now all sold with the city's assistance. And you're going to see in the next years, North Broad Street come to life and be more a vibrant part of it. Working with TDA is very important, and making sure that our downtown is.
This question is about the Route 25 Boulevard project, and it's really just asking what that's will be taken to move that on forward. Route 29. So can I get a little bit of background?
I'm not able to say much on it right now. I sat down and did look at the I did sit down and look at the, plan, the site plan for that Route 29. You're speaking about halfway goes over the Delaware River, down past the sewage and, down to Powers Farm. That's the plan you're speaking about.
Part about, redoing 29, being a freeway, and bring it back to the city. The history of 29 is cut off the city from water and created a lot of the economic, depression that actually we, the DOT. So it's not everyone knows about kind of a newer, in terms of the public, facing. But 29 is about bringing it back into the city, partially back into the city, and giving us back land so that we can people in our neighborhood, especially this part, to the water. But I'm not going
I'm very familiar with the Route 29 project. Back in the 50s and the 60s, bad urban planning said, let's build a highway along the waterfront. And what that did was cut our lifeline away from us, the economic engine. Go up to New Hope, go up to Lambertville, you'll see, go to Chattanooga, go to Baltimore Harbor, and then go to Trenton. Our lifeline has been cut off. And they even did worse. They put the Department of Education and the Department of IT next to Thunder Stadium, which becomes a ghost town after 5 o'clock. That's prime real estate. What we asked the federal government to do, we applied along with the county under the Biden infrastructure bill. There's a reconnecting communities where exactly what happened, where communities were cut off from their lifeblood. We want to go out Route 29, bring it closer to where the Youth Justice Complex and where the old ag and health building were. And that way we recapture a waterfront which can be developed. We could put mixed use there, create an entertainment district, and most importantly, create jobs for our residents. But to bring in visitors and bring in tax revenue, and not have public buildings there and not have a waterfront that's been cut off. This is probably one of the most important things that can happen to the capital city. It's a game changer, and everybody should be aware of this plan and root for it. I'm working with the federal delegation, the state delegation, Department of Transportation, and the governor's office to make sure that we can recapture our water.
Okay, what I was explaining was part of that. Putting the half with that.
I'm really sorry, everybody. I had a pre-existing engagement that I think, take a couple more questions. So,
what does the ideal budget process look like? And we plan
things that- oh,
Okay, so I have been part of the budget process on the public side of it with the council part of it, when they have the department budget. I actually taken 2022 budget as well as 2021 in this spreadsheet. So I can see how the money will be in and out, and we're looking at the matter of the anticipated revenues and spending. What I see is that there's a budget that's submitted, a spreadsheet of all the salaries in this department. There's no narrative, there's no objective about what the departments are planning to do. You know, they just put a budget together of what they're spending. In regards to, it's only just payroll, but it doesn't talk about initiatives. It doesn't talk about mostly what is in the city state of address. It's not even planned out in budget. That's one of the reasons why we're using the American Rescue Funds that is supposed to revitalize the city, because a lot of these initiatives that, this current administration is talking about, it's not budget. And when they submit that budget, all they do is explain the salaries and the increases, and it isn't even explain, it's just the numbers. Numbers, I mean, if you can read them, that's fine, there's no narrative of how they plan on doing X, Y, and Z in that department, how they plan on improving services, nothing, how the 250 master plan that we have, how that's going to play into their services or the spending, none of that is in the plan. None of it. So, what I plan to do is make sure that there's a break with the science committee and spreadsheet salaries, that, there's a narrative that explains all the, components, all the authority, zoning, planning, how that plays into the spending and the cost of, developing, keeping the, services going in the city. Thank you.
I would listen. Did I answer that as well?
No, I'm gonna ask you another one. Because you brought up a lot about Trenton 50 and negative production. So this question is, Trenton 50 is Trenton's long-range comprehensive map that will guide the city from now to the 250th anniversary of its corporation in 2042. It provides a framework that lets cities control, initiatives, and acts that the city should implement to achieve the vision. Vision is Trenton first, a premier economic and cultural center built on arts, industry, and education. What specific elements of the master plan do you expect to focus both your administration budget and project planning processes?
Well, first of all, I think we've done a pretty good job with our budget. Last three budget cycles, there's zero tax increase for the local tax level. On top of that, we applied for every federal and state grant we could, to the tune of, we've increased our recreation budget by 400%. That's why you see things like Montgomery Plaza, the Jackson Bridge, Petzl Pool, all have come back to life with grant funding. So I think we've done a pretty good job with our budget. It's a $220 million budget a year, and we are funding essential services. It has to melt with Trenton 250, because that is our master plan that we worked on. I also worked on with the Capital City Redevelopment Corporation that focuses on the Capital District downtown, which is Ward 6. It's called Renaissance Plan. It was redrafted this year. That also talks about creating a livable, workable downtown. That's why you see the Van Sciver building that way, the old Gothic facade. That's going to have 120 market rate units for the most part to bring a middle class, workable downtown that will be able to shop and feed into the downtown. The arts are also an important aspect, and that's why we fed money into Passage Theater to keep it viable, artworks and the like. We want to create an arts district on East Hanover Street that would really complement Mercer County College, the library. We're also working on bringing on the North Ward Library back to life. That's run by partnering with the East Trenton Collaborative to make sure they run the library with us.
So, are you planning to continue with the wrap?
You cut me off. One more. All right. This is important.
And the red bean.
Okay, that, thank you for that question. Yeah, I plan, okay, so DEP, this current administration, put, Trenton Water Works under MOU. Okay, DEP, given us, some, initiatives. One was, to implement tanks and, to remove the, reservoir. And some of those plans that are initiatives or what they asked us to do, I think that probably, I want to look into it. I want to make sure that the persons who work at the Trenton Water Works, that there is either they or set up a lab there where they can all the time test the water to make sure we get ahead of any issues that are. That's one. The next thing is uh, the initiatives that came from DEP. I just want to say this, I worked in many places, I've been in many levels of government and private industry. And my question would be, the plan that they gave us for DEP, who there who put that plan together at work for the facility? That's the question. Because I just know that a lot of people get together and come up with ideas. It's like there's certain ideas that came up in the past with the city of Trenton, and it's not moving us forward. So it's nice to come together collectively, but the thing is, are you just getting this out of a book? I mean, are you taking information from other utilities, water utilities, and sewer utilities, before you came up with the policy?
Everybody should welcome DEP's involvement, Department of Environmental Protection. They're partnering us to make sure that we get it right. The other thing is, do you want all your water contained in one source, reservoir? Since the 1970s, they've said, break that up, because if something happens in the reservoir, the entire system shuts down for 5 municipalities. And what we propose is to put service tanks, which are covered, in the 5 service municipalities. So if one tank goes down, we'll have 4 others that will be able to deliver clean water. Right now, because of global warming emissions, we have algae problems now in the reservoir, and midges have developed in the algae as well. So we want a clean water source. We want to continue to deliver water source. Under my administration, we actually hired 70 people to add to the filtrations, and 90% of them are all Trentonians. The other thing was that in order to advance, you needed a higher certification. And the problem was that the classes were in North and South Jersey. We partnered with Mercer County College, hold the classes right in the filtration plant, and we graduated 22 graduates to learn a continuing education so they could do better at the water department. That's why, coupled with working with DEP, arm in arm, to make sure that we get it right, because we all remember, we have collective memory when it was up to sell the water department to privatize it. That's the exact opposite we want to do. We want to keep the water department. We have an $11 million surplus, so it makes money for the city. And if we can ensure that clean water for the foreseeable future, we'll be able to deliver that water to our customers, make more money, but to make sure that we get it right. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take off. I apologize, but if anybody wants to follow up, right down there at City Hall, and I hope you can send me on it. Thanks so much.
Got the rule.
Yeah, this is the key word. For one, to have an executive that knows how to work with all the departments. work with the people that I elected to the directors, run the departments, knowing how to work with, the council, and understanding that, I am responsible and, making sure that I go in, I audit those areas, all the, division and departments of the city. Make sure I have the right people in there, they up there, aware of new updated information, whatever it is they're processing, make sure that they have new updated, standards and procedures, making sure that I actually making sure the people who are supposed to be out in the community are actually reporting, to make sure their job orders are being fulfilled or being done. And also making sure that I do my due diligence and before I, put the city or, like for instance, we just talked about certain waterworks. You just have to be innovative, you gotta go in, you gotta investigate. Sometimes you hire people, and this is just, you hire people and they may not have the skill base to go in there and analyze. So I would actually do that myself. There are a lot of issues going into the neighborhoods, communicating, with the residents, even knocking on the doors, to be very humble, because being in those, being in the community, I'm able to see that even though we talk about the 3,000 vacant properties, people are living in.
It's just,
Yeah,
like it did.
People are living in vacant, people are living in homes that you assume. People are having roofing issues, they're having, issues where, you know, how to keep up their homes. So the issue I would address, or that I see is, educating people how to go in and like have webinars and, town hall meetings on, how to keep up our neighborhoods and, some of the, CDBG money that's supposed to be grant for people to, apply for, making sure that money is significant and figure out how we make sure that money is utilized for each person who applies for it. And make sure it's enough to, repair whatever needs from their roof to their, front porch, to, their porches. I mean, whatever it is that the CDG money is allowable for us to utilize to fix up the various homes here in the neighborhood, I think we should. I just don't think that, the prior administration, not that this current one, even before that, I know there was something done by us, but when I go into the neighborhoods and I'm knocking on doors and I'm looking and seeing the condition of our neighborhoods, I'm just saying, where is the work? You know, I hear, I've heard, just like you did tonight, there's this initiative, this money was spent, we're doing this, we're doing that. But when I go into those neighborhoods, I don't see where the money is being utilized in those neighborhoods. So there are a lot of issues in Trenton from, the downtown area. As I stated earlier, downtown was built for it at a time it worked. So we're going to have to possibly, come up with, he said $500,000 to come in and rehab, downtown. Retail, I don't foresee retail actually coming back downtown. I mean, every city or township is having problems with retail. So if that is the case, we have to come up with innovative, find out what's really happening, what's new that we can, bring downtown. You know, that's going to benefit everybody in the city, where folks want to come downtown and purchase, buy, or have some services, buy services. But I noticed that people are going over the bridge, over the market, the bridges are backed up. So, there are a lot of issues in Trenton, from housing to, how we're utilizing our land, some, ideas of, you know, like we're using the rolling 1 and 2. I haven't, heard much of activity going, but it takes time. But the point is, there's services are issued, It's people knowing what this kind of provides the service, there are people going into the city hall, inquiring about this and that, and if they're getting the runaround, or if they're not getting their answers, they gotta go back 3 or 4 times. I know I've called, when I see things, and I no one's picking the phone up, or if I go into the city hall.
They are, and departmental check. Publicly communicate. Publicly accountable for chief.
I again would probably have town hall meetings and have city council as well. City councils, is provides the oversight and they approve the spending. So I would think, always keeping this, they have to keep the residents involved. As well as this election, I find that most people don't really know as much as, if you live in Hamilton and you're in Trenton, you may be registered in Hamilton, but you can't vote in Trenton election. So there's all kinds of things that people need to be informed of how to manage themselves, not just in Trenton, but even, parents in the school district. They want the best for their children, but the question is, we have to give them the tools to know how to go into the school district and actually attend the board meetings and know how to approach whatever the issues or whatever the issues are or their concerns, how to address their concerns, how to address or how to improve whatever the situation is going on and lost. Because the parent actually determines what is what. We want less children in the classroom. We all have to come together collectively and say, we don't want more than 21 children in the class. We're talking about the condition of our schools, and we want them to make sure that they keep up a capital improvement account for the school district. Then we have to say we expect a certain amount of money in there for any repairs for school. The school should not have to be to a point where it's falling apart before we have to reach out to the state. Like all that goes in the plan. I hear you have to partner with the state and the federal, but you also have to have a plan. I mean, you can't wait to be in a crisis situation and go into the state asking for money.
So, transition a little bit. What companies that will we pay to elevate campus Richard Street and are as building blocks for economic development? Within that, where, we history could be all kinds of different things, but how do we foster all the pride and strengthen? And what would you do to support art walk?
You only whether I can do any of that or to address the arts or the culture trend is that I have to, in the development aspects in my administration, I would have to get the residents involved. People, for example, we have a grand high school, and most of the people in Trenton were not involved in that decision. It was a big there was a lot of conversation about, the kids appreciating school, not destroying the school. And then there was some issues, and from the discussions I've had and whatnot, people are not involved. You want somebody to appreciate it. It's just like, how do I say this? It's just it's just like, okay, here, I'm giving this to you, but they had no insight. So we expect to enhance, or we expect for people to appreciate with the cultures we have here. We want people to appreciate the history. First of all, we gotta get people involved, and once people get involved, and feel that they're accountable, they're part of that history, it is something to celebrate. We talk about a period of time that we want people to celebrate, but a lot of people here in Trenton, they read the books, they have no connection. And so then we say, okay, people, they don't appreciate, they don't want, it's just that people don't have no connection. So if we want people to appreciate or we want to improve the quality of life, we have to, come together, have a common bond, work together to say, okay, we want new housing, we want better services, we want to create new revenue streams. Not continue with the old way of how we finance our services, because it's not working. Our taxes are ridiculous.
And I think about how do we start to make those connections that you feel are essential to get people engaged so that we can have change from kind of within.
Well, first of all, I have to be accessible. I plan it at least, like I said, for me to be successful in it, I have to be in the trenches. I have to be in the community. I gotta be interacting with the community. The issue that I've heard for a number of, not just this administration, but maybe this administration, is they feel disconnected. There's no connection. First of all, I have to follow what I said I'm doing. That's first of all. So, as I'm sitting here now and I'm telling you, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do an audit on the operation. I'm gonna put in some new standard, operating procedures, some new processes. I also like to put in a comprehensive computer system where everything is computerized. So, everything is not manual on paper. So we can bring ourselves up to the 21st century. I do plan to do that with the support of the city. But I have to be in the trenches of this. I have to be in the community, showing the community I am doing what I said I'm going to be doing. It can't be just lip service. It cannot be that I'm talking because I want you to let me, and then after that you don't see me, you don't have no connection to me. There's no. This is closer, I think, that people have probably during this election has talked to this mayor since the last term. And that's the biggest argument. They haven't spoken to the rest of the people campaigning last election 4 years ago. So I have to be accessible, and I plan to be accessible.
How do you define community and do you support efforts?
It's not a tough question. It's just that, okay, so we've been policing the same old way. We've been policing since the 30s, 50s, 70s. It's not working. It's not working. We gotta revamp how the police department operates. I'm gonna take Camden, for instance. I'm gonna take and sit down with Camden there. I'm gonna sit down with fire Camden there, and that was instituted with regional policing. I'm gonna definitely connect. Let me share this with you. I am definitely going to be connecting with other mayors who run cities in New Jersey. I'm just, because I think you have to talk with people who are in the role, who's managed and dealt with the issue of police. So I am going to look at that very closely. It has to be revamped because it's not working. It's not working all over the country. It's not working. So there's got to be a change. Has to be we have to revamp how we police. We keep talking about community policing, police being in the community. We spoke about, the police were living in the community. Police say they don't want to live in the community because of the danger, but if we have a community where we don't have the issues we have now, why don't they come in? You understand what I'm saying? So we gotta change. We in the community, our communities gotta change, and the police have to be revamped. We need our relationship, some of the issues we bring into our communities. We gotta say, no, we just, we gotta learn to, we all want love, we all wanna have a relationship, and I mean relationship meaning friendship with our neighbors. We just gotta know our boundaries. We gotta know our boundaries. We gotta we have to, have a dialogue.
We're at the point where we're gonna wrap up this. So, in 2 minutes. Closing statement, and, in a minute or so, there's something that. We think we should. There. How are you gonna vote? Well, I'll try to find them. Sit with her, I suppose, if they don't. But I think after our board meeting.
Yes, I am running for mayor, as I said, I've been here. Actually, been in Trenton prior to the, Palmer administration. And, I've witnessed, like, we all have witnessed, the demise, I would say, in, what's going on in Trenton. And what I do know is that I think all of us have ideas or have something to, based on what we lived through here in Trenton, we have ideas and we, I think we come together collectively and, understand that we can test those ideas, we can put them in a strategic plan and actually test them. But what I plan to do is, take what we have here now and revamp it, revitalize it, and make it work for all of us. As I stated to you before, there are jobs here. It's not only just for city. There are jobs here because you have to look at history. You take history and you look at uh, prior inventions and look at how towns developed. They developed them, jobs were created based on the needs of that town. So there are needs here in Trenton. There are plenty of needs here in Trenton. And there are jobs that can be created out of those needs. I have the foresight to do that. And I'm sure there's people here in this state, in this here, that can assist me in doing that. I think I can turn Trenton around. I'm not looking at it from a politician perspective. I'm looking at it as an executive. I plan to like I said, wanted to revamp City Hall. I shared that with you. I'm not gonna go back into that, but I can do the job. It's just that you have to, I read everything and I look at everything, I analyze everything. I just, I don't just move ahead and just say, uh, uh, this is my idea, it's only what I think. I'm about working. Nothing's gonna change unless there's a team and us come together collectively and have their own. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts. Thank you. We can stick around, have after 8 o'clock, half an hour. Engage with voters. Now, I don't know. Oh, okay, so from 7 to 1, 7 to 8 is the one. So.
Okay, sure, all right, we're starting another forum.
Can you project a little more? They're having trouble here.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna welcome now our North Board candidates. We have all four here, so that's amazing. We have, Jennifer Williams at the end, Mr. Myrtle Jerry, the design house, and the or
Ultra,
Okay, we're gonna start the questions and, the rules are the same. Everyone will get 1 minute. Then, questions will be, we'll get 2 minutes, so we'll 15 seconds warning. And then, first off with red, and you'll everybody will be able to work with it. Okay, start with, you pick up 1 minute.
My name is Jennifer Williams. I'm a lifelong resident of Trenton. I grew up in the East Fork, youngest of 7, and a one home, or Gatlin home over South Oakland Avenue. And through that, we was negotiating and collaborating and how it would happen. But particularly when you're young, you have. And actually, some of this life skills translated when I joined the zoning board, which I've been on for 14 years. Been chair for the last years of one of the great honors of my life, and then helping the organization, particularly going through COVID, where we had to transition from in-person meetings to virtual meetings with technology issues and stuff. I very much enjoyed campaigning this past several months because when you meet neighbors, you get to meet people all over the board about all the issues of the neighborhood and what needs to get done. There's a lot that needs to get done. I think we can get to do that, and it's also a second opportunity to be here in the Belleville Playhouse because it's one of the venues that started with technical in 2000.
Good evening, everyone. Purple Cherry, and it's good to know that there's someone with a name that's almost as difficult as yours to pronounce. I've lived in this city for over 43 years. I raised 2 young men in this city. I wasn't gonna say 2 young boys, but they are all grown up. My youngest that I used to hold in one hand and put on my shoulder is now 265 pounds. So it's taken. I've seen a lot of changes in the city of Trenton, and I love the city. I know that this 90,000 resident, 7.5 square mile town has an awful lot to offer, and we together can do a lot of good things. And I'm running for the North Ward Council seat because I want to work with you, and I want us to do and realize all those great and wonderful things that I know we can do.
Good evening, everyone. I have a name that you do not have any issues with. Pronouncing my name is Divine Allah. I really want to engage with you all. Our motto, I think our mantra is I become counsel, you become counsel. To me, it's going to be easy.
It's just making sure that you have access to the people that you want to represent you all. And that's what I'm looking for. November 8th.
Out here now, but they call me Alex the Great from the Garden State at 688. It's so sour. It's smiles here because Trenton is about to make some changes. I'm optimistic about what's going to happen. I don't remember things we have here in the city because I grew up here. I was born here and I've run these streets and back alleys all my life. And in the process, I became the first Black research scientist at New Jersey Department of Health. And I've been working on projects not just at election time, in between election time. I've been doing things that are important. The mayor mentioned the Sailor Trent Waterworks. Guess who organized the petition against Sailor Trent Waterworks? Yours truly. And not only that, and many other things I've done, not on the basis of politics, I'm just doing the right thing. And so you don't have to pronounce my name out, and I'm call me Najee,
Thank you.
and that would be good enough. Thank you. And I'm going to have a week. We'll be able to expand much further on what we're trying to do, but I hope you can excuse me, but please don't take it as if I don't care.
Okay. So the way we're gonna, same process, we'll just ask a question, there's no rebuttal, and each candidate will get. All right, I'm just gonna start in this, okay? So, William, you're up. Will you support the formation of a Franklin redevelopment? Or will you rescind that? By the previous and what? I'll get there again, sorry, I'll repeat. Will you support the formation of a Trenton redevelopment authority? Or will you rescind that action by the previous council and why?
I would vote for, and I would also help introduce a motion to rescind that authority. The Trenton government and their administration has an economic development office. And why that is important is because of this. They are the administration. That's what they do. They develop projects, they have developers come to them for projects, they work out all the details and scope of that. The role of city council is to advise and consent. That's what we do. We ask a lot of tough questions. I will ask a lot of tough questions, just as I do on zoning board every single month. You need to do that, but once you get all the answers you have, then you either vote for a project or you do not vote for a project, you vote it down. That has been the central problem we've had the past several years with obstructionism, with just not letting things come to a vote, just because you don't like somebody, or because you want more power, more say. We have to stay in our lane, we have to do what we do, but we are an advocate for the people. That's something I look forward to doing, but asking all the tough questions must be asked, and that is my reason why.
Okay, thank you. Role with and how do you feel about the voting membership within our community?
Yeah, council's role, and it goes back to some extent to the economic development. The council's role is to work with the administration, work with the residents, work with the other council members to ensure that whatever is coming to the city is in the best. That businesses that are going to be located here in respective neighborhoods, especially in the North Ward, because the North Ward will be the economic engine for the city of Trenton. Most of the economic development that's occurring will occur in the North Ward. It's the largest geographic ward in the city, starts at Bond Street and goes down to the river. What I see happening, to answer the question regarding the cannabis related industries, I think that it needs to be managed. I think that we should look at opportunities not only from dispensaries perspective, but also manufacturing and cultivation. Those are opportunities where we can have employment opportunities available to young people and other individuals in our city. Resources from those entities and businesses We want to ensure that they're being used to improve the lives of the residents in the North Ward and the city of Trenton. I'm gonna kind of wander off into that economic authority development. There might be an opportunity for something like that, but what's currently on the boards is not that. It's to have city council be the economic development authority. That is not a good idea. One of the things that my grandmother used to tell me is, know what you don't know who knows what you know. And that would be something for the answer.
Thank you. Council O.
You said it right.
But how will you work with it?
One of the best way I know how. And the way that the residents want the engagement to be done. For the most part, the city has been looking at a divided council and divided administration. What I plan to do first and foremost, is make sure that council has one mind and one body throughout a whole election process, throughout the whole governing process. Most of the time, we forget though that council does have a specific job to do. Investigate, extend, work on that budget, make sure that it's not down. Operating the way it's supposed to be operating. So I don't want to overstep boundaries, but I want to make sure there's a clear, professional, ethical way that the people look at their local government as something to be proud of, not something to be. I don't want nothing to do with that. You know, we need to bring the people's engagement more involved. That's why I'm actually working with city council and the mayor.
Okay, Mr. Clerk. So, folks will talk about, the role of council. So this question is around the consent and confirming by mayor. What factors will most determine your decision in confirming candidates for director or cabinet position? And
Well, I mean, in the management fashion, we have to first look at the person's competence in their job and how do you assess that? Well, you look at what they've done. You look at their credentials and you ask them to demonstrate other projects that they work on, similar to the job that you propose to do, and see if they have the skill set they can use to forward and work. I'm going to give the administration as much leeway to present people as possible, but I will also be strict about the criteria because a lot of times the criteria and credentials are legally mandated. That you have to have this kind of degree in this subject in order to be qualified to do that work. You also got to show the examples of your work, how successful you've been in that job. So it's the same as any other job. You look at that person and see what they bring to you.
thank you. All right, we'll continue with accepting and confirming appointments by the mayor or Ms. Williams. What factors will most determine your support for appointment of president, volunteer boards, commission, and authority, and why? Did you hear that? No? No. Factors will most determine your support for appointment of residents to volunteer boards, commissions, and authorities, and why?
Personal experience, I'm sad to say, but this is true. Commitment. We've had a severe problem with commitment, particularly zoning board, plus the other boards in the past where every July, we have people to get reappointed or appointed in city council. This isn't just a recent city council, this goes back since I've been on zoning board. Has not made serious effort of committing to in July on people to be reappointed, because they've done a good job, etc., or if they are new applicants to be appointed. And in zoning's case, this has gone on at least once or twice in my 14 years, So that means in July and August, we have not had enough people for a quorum. And when you don't have a quorum, that means the applications that come, whether it's for a large project, like the big PSE&G one on Route 1, they driven past that big solar panel field, that was a $17 million project. Fortunately, we had enough zoning board members that night to be able to vote on. We've had other ones, we had one this past July, where we didn't have enough zoning board members, we had 4, because we had members who weren't reappointed for whatever reasons. And the cases that night, which included some small businesses trying to expand their business with cooking good, that type of thing. And even other issues, people who want to take a single family home and make it a 2-family, where someone wants to take an abandoned property and redevelop it. These things do not get voted on month after month. It builds up and we have no development in the city. One of the things we need to do in this city is have every single board filled with people who are going to commit to come every single month. That's where you have to interview. We've gotten away from city council actually interviewing applicants to ascertain their commitment and their devotion to our city. And that's going to change. Thank you.
And in the same line, right? What direct experience do you have in evaluation of candidates for paid executive and assessment of their qualifications? That will be
Quite a bit. I currently serve as the chief operating officer in the office of Health Center. I've been a bank officer and for Wachovia/Wells Fargo. I've worked as a financial advisor, all in supervisory and administrative. I worked for the city of Trenton in a couple of different capacities, all in administrative and supervisory roles. So I have significant experience in doing it. And I've been appointed to boards and commissions myself. I currently serve in the Landmarks Commission. And I understand that it's important that you're appointed individuals who have the competencies to perform that job. But also, the other criteria that I would use is the commitment they have to the city.
Thank you. Mentioned a little bit about making sure that your council, you're working together. What scale do you have to be able to reach consensus with your fellow council? So,
One of my skills is the first one is that the health and wellness arena. And I know what it takes to really engage an individual and engage a group. I use the example of being in a group training session where you might have one person that has a particular disability, maybe with hearing. So it's my duty to get next to that person, show them the example. And as a group, you may have a person who may not be as advanced as the rest of the group is. So you have to not make it seem like that person is not worthy, but everyone is worthy in the group. So I would use all the skills I have in the wellness arena to make sure that every one of us can work as a unified body. Again, I want to keep stressing that because the city of Trenton has been lacking that in a long time. We talk diversity, but it's not shown in all the areas that it needs to be. It's only shown in certain areas. I want to make sure that the unified mind and body that is there all across the board.
that's the word review, you are assigned. So, what direct experience do you have in developing and carrying out unbiased, fact-finding efforts to examine an issue or situation?
That's what reason Congress doesn't done what we do. So we have an open mind, and we look at a question and go where it's going to be. You go in places that you normally don't go, and you develop ideas outside of the box. That's what research is by that. And you look in new places, and a lot of times, and it's happened many times, that I go into a question with a preconceived idea, but the data takes me in a completely different direction. Now I can say, well, I'm not going to accept it. because that's hard, but follow the data. And you have to be objective about it. You have to remove your feelings, your opinions, and all that out of the question and look at the data. It will take you to the right point. The numbers don't lie. And you just have to accept what it is in the real sense. So, yeah, that's what the research time does. And I think that would serve the city council well, because it removes me from all the political intrigue, the triangulation, to see who likes me, this, that, and the other. You follow the data. If you look at the question, the substance of the data, come to a reasonable conclusion that you sure is correct. And I've done 21 plays, and it feels like home here. And the kind of spaces that we need to develop in this. But a research time does exactly what you do. And I'm gonna have to, I am afraid I have to leave. I had a feeling that I have to be at, so I'm gonna have to go. Thank you all for having me.
I'll give you your respect.
No, I'll do that part. I'll do that part.
Very good example would be, you know, for the department. On the same way that.
There's particularly about where we have a lot of problems in the city that fixed, around the battery, the battery. We have seen other complicated problems, particularly in the throughout my lifetime, I've been working with a child of the city. There were lots and for that, but the loss for to that, the other words are more important. The words are more easy to work with. Other words are more easy to actually make something happen. That has to change. I believe it's going to change. I want to be part of that change. I want to help them lead that change. And the areas, I think we can regulate that is with development. Also, we have to look at living conditions, improving the health conditions of the North Fork. And that goes from things such as the quality of the air, the quality of the water, Trenton Waterworks. Trenton Waterworks back in 2010 with the Stop the Sale movement that I mentioned earlier. That was a team effort. I was one of the leaders of that team also, and my spouse and I gathered more than 10% of the petitions for that. The line up, he was part of that team. Actually, I remember he came to my house when we had the North Sale lemonade stand with a friend to help us raise money to buy a newspaper. So, where does that come into the North Fork and its future and its health? We need to start doing things like having the Route 1 Expressway have sound barriers erected. If we do that, that's going to help us with the noise pollution, with the air pollution. And if I don't know how many people know this, but there are a lot of problems with respiratory issues, with asthma issues in the North Fork, particularly a section of Gulfport. One of the issues that came up with the PSCB project was actually the dust, the dirt, because of the Gulfport is being full storage facility, picked up by the trucks. So those are the two areas. The waterworks, I would like to really get back to figure out fixing that, because it is a human right for us to have clean, safe drinking water for ourselves, not just for the suburbs and the people.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Chair. What expectations do you hold for yourself if elected?
I hold the same expectations that all of you should hold. That I will be a voice and an advocate for concerns that I have come to the residents to ascertain, and then go back and work with the administration to develop strategic, intentional, sound policies to address those concerns. One of the most important roles of a council person, in my opinion, is that individual is a voice for the residents and constituents who elected that individual. That's important. I think too often residents get left out of the process. They get handed plans. They're not involved in development That, as a council person, that will not happen. I know you're all familiar, and I've used this phrase before, about what cicadas are. Come out every 17 years. I will not be a cicada. You will see me less than every 4 years. I will be in Canada. I've been helping people in this community for the 43 plus years that I've been.
Thank you. Well, can you like maybe, share a little bit about your process? So what would you actually do to help create that connection with the community? I mean, are you talking about, having regular forums, how do you envision your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month action if you were that with that?
As I'm out campaigning and canvassing now, I will do the same thing after I'm left. Because that's one way to stay in tune with and hear. I will also use the platforms that are available to us, social media. If I need to, regular print media, knocking on doors, having forums, coming to civic association meetings, working with residents through those particular platforms. But Merkle Terry is only one of me. You can always find.
This is from the human improvement. Tell me are you, the city budget, and how it is developed and
As a regular resident, the number that's put out there. But a person who understands some of the basics of what a business is and how it should be ran, city. And we have to make sure that there's a unified effort in looking at what the numbers are, what departments are of most need, and what are the major needs of the city itself. One thing that does stand out for me is the issue of public safety, where a lot of the budget goes in that direction. Public safety is an extension of the quality of life in the city of Trenton. Youth development and recreation. Somebody like myself in a budget meeting will say, well, why is this particular area getting more attention than this particular area? This area doesn't need that much of the budget. So the process should be reevaluated, and some of the funds can or should be redirected to other areas that are important. Some parts of the city need more attention than others. So we have to make sure, again, like they're definitely looking at how that budget is put together, who's involved in it, what type of monies are there, and how we can collectively say, this is going here, this is going there, and everybody or everything is been. So nothing is left out.
that a little bit. Your ideal budget process. So,
That's a great, because I'd like to know more cleanly, more transparently what the old one was. It sure seems like there's a lot of vagueness, there's a lot of, I'm not gonna say smoke and mirrors, but there's a lot of, walls there that I think we're not reaching and we're not equal partners on. I'd like to see, first of all, how does DCA get involved with developing these budgets? What are the income streams that are part of this revenue that's coming? How do we gain more? What are the budget priorities of the administration? What are the accounting assumptions that were used to develop this budget? Because when you have a budget, whether it's a 68-page budget, where I think one of the ones I looked at was 139 pages, we have a budget that in, I believe, 2000 was $154 million. Today, we have a budget that's $227 million. Now, granted, that's a good number of years later, but at the same point, we've been through the crash of 2008. We've been through COVID. We've been through a lot of different things. We've been through all the devastating effects of what happened in Trenton with the pandemic and all the costs, healthcare costs, after things waiting for the governor to come, for the county government to come. This county government did not arrive, did not help our city, did not help a lot of the towns. for many months, and that's what actually banded a lot of the towns together, the mayors, to push back on the county information. For PPE, for vaccine, for masks. That's something I really want to see with the next budget. I want to know what went into it, and I'm going to ask people a lot of questions. I have an MBA in marketing and finance, so I'm sure you do so. And I don't say that to brag in any way. I'm very fortunate to be able to go to practice. But we have to use what we have. I think we need to ask more professionals outside administration, but also like to talk with those cities and find out what they've done. Cities and similar cities down south, out west, how they tend to tag or tail on the budget and be able to quantify it for better budget in the future.
Mr. Chair, what would you like to see put in place to support your ongoing budget processes? Did you guys hear me?
So can you repeat the question?
Louder? What would you like to put in place to support your ongoing budget review process? So you're reviewing the budget, but what kinds of things you want to put in place to facilitate your review?
Budgeting to a great degree is a reflection of your priorities. And their budget processes in place. You just need to ensure that the process is being efficient. And we can do zero-based budgeting, we can do comparative budgeting. But I see what I would like to have in place is, again, some of those platforms or venues that we discussed about how we communicate with residents, how we determine what is important. And if I have those in place for me to understand the concerns and issues and the priorities of the residents, then that helps me when we go back and start formulating and approving or appropriating funds for the budget. Because the budget should reflect priorities of the residents in the North Ward and ultimately the citizens in the city of Trenton.
Next question. In what areas do you believe that legitimate fees due to the city are being substantially uncollected? And what would you hope council would do to change that end? Okay. So, I think it comes to a point where this, person who wrote this question believes that, the city isn't collecting all of the money that it should to go into the coffers, so to speak. So, do you have any belief that there is, legitimate fees owed to the city that is not collected? And maybe you don't. So, we can table that question unless any of the other candidates think that, the city isn't collecting all of these.
I'll just take one small thing.
Okay,
I don't know that all these brand new leaders are actually working in the city. Those are things certainly that they contribute income into the city. I certainly don't want to help raise the cost of anyone living in the city. I'm sure John sitting next to me don't want to do that either. But we do need to make sure if we're gonna say you have to pay for this parking or you have an inspection permits, you have, I'm sorry, building permits, et cetera, you have to pay for. Then it has to actually be done consistently and be done fairly without selective prosecutions, I would say. But also, we have a lot of issues in the rest of the city regarding parking and permit parking, and I'm not being enforced. Particularly by the lack of meter reads in the city, and also that to actually even street rooms not coming at all.
okay. So I'm gonna have to. All council members are responsible directly for the management of the clerk's office. What expectations and characteristics will you be looking for when hiring the city clerk? And what are your areas of performance review?
Glad you said all.
Yeah.
Again, we use that word engagement, collaborative all the time. So number one thing is to make sure that the person we're bringing in is professional and they know their duties under or with a city council. It's simple as assessing someone like I would do for a personal training session. We assess every aspect of their mind, of their body, see if they're tuned up and take part in an actual session. And the same thing with the city clerk. You want to make sure that they understand what the job entails, understand how to work with someone who may be older, someone who may be younger. This council that is going to come in now, you have a lot of younger age council. So we have to formulate something that's going to allow that to manifest itself through a little bit of growth and development. All of us don't have all the answers coming in, but collectively, we can come up with the type of answers that's needed, and come up with the type of layout that's needed for any employee.
Okay, since we have a little bit of time, does anyone want to add to that? From their perspective regarding the clerk, it's a very important role with her relationship with the council.
I would like to say that you're absolutely right. It is an extremely important sometimes standing up here. It is an extremely important role. And it's incumbent upon council to ensure that the individual who is placed in that role has the capacity and skills for the duties. It's also incumbent upon that person, in my opinion, that they are able to work within their space. They are an employee of the council, but the council has to work with it. And I see the council, city clerk, administration, residents of the North Ward and the city attorney. I'm looking for synergistic approach where everyone collectively is better than any single person. That's how you get in. This individual in the clerk's office should contribute to that. They should know their job. They should have a skill set, obviously all of the records that are required. But they also need to be able to work within the framework of unifying and collaboration to get there.
So, right off the bat, I'd like to see us local independent in the role, create a city and remake the city to a city that's very attractive, will have dozens of candidates for our next round of hiring for clerk position. If this clerk, decides to really go ahead and finally hire him, but also I want to find out what is it going to take for us to attract a great number of candidates who want this position. Because we need to have the best person in this clerk position. We need to have a strong person, we need to have an experienced person that's going to be independent of the administration, but also independent of city council. To me, the clerk is supposed to make sure that everything functions, that the trains show up on time, that the election will be run correctly and efficiently. We actually saw when we had the ballot following that was the case, and thank God for the county was there to be able to send somebody to the county building to just get a ton of basket. So they picked it up. So I know where we are. That's a true story. But I'd like to make sure for the next time around that we have an independent clerk, we have the best of the best, not the best of the least. That's not an insult to the clerk. I just want to make sure we have more options. Questions?
Leadership management. So, what specific changes in the way city council meetings and business are conducted to support make council more efficient and more responsive to the concerns and interests of residents in the city. And because we have a little time, everybody can do it.
Well, three things, I was just need to have shown enforcement of Robert's rules of order. And the meeting also, education for all the members to know what they are. Not what they think they are, or come up with, one version, we will be accountable or self-accountable to that, and have the most efficient as possible. Secondly, and this is just in front of me, we need to have the public portion of the meeting move to the front. As it used to be, citizens have a right to speak their mind, present issues to the council, particularly when the administration has representatives for each of the departments that if not for the department head, to hear what's going on. And I know as a citizen attended many of those years ago, that was the best part, was being able to go and say, "Okay, this is going on my street, we have drug dealers doing this, or we have some, other situation, and one of the stats that I will say, as, the chair of the zoning board meetings, members, how many folks to our meetings to speak about an application and they'll complain about an application and they don't know until you tell them that this complaint should be actually said at a city council meeting, and then they inform you that they didn't know you had a right to speak at city council. That's something we have to change. I want to see all of our citizens be able to have that right to speak at the beginning, not at 1 o'clock in the morning. That should never ever happen again. And that's something I will push for. As soon as I take office, I've taken a vote, that's the first conversation I have. Finally, I think we need to have more transparency, and like most municipalities of our size in this country, our meetings should be televised to make it easy for everyone. Because thankfully, there's some local bloggers who are bloggers that get you on to put it on Facebook. We shouldn't have to leave it up to private citizens. We should have our city government provide that function.
Anything else?
I would like to see a greater degree of civility and professionalism and decorum. And I agree that we need to have a adherence to rights. I think that we should develop a system, because what you want to do is allow citizens to know what's happening in your city, also have a voice. And I think in-person meetings are important, but I also think that the opportunity to participate virtually is. So I would be looking for some sort of hybrid system where both of those things could occur.
Thank you.
First, I think it's already in the stage, but I think we need to update how each ward representative or ward council members bring to the table ward reports. So that way you don't get locked into one large council meeting where things are brought up that don't necessarily have to do with a particular area of interest. So I'm going to put it on the table for all the council and administration, say, even if there's other days you don't meet, which means it's no more. If we are serious about serving the interests of the public, we may have to do North Ward City Council, West Ward City Council, South Ward City Council. That way the residents are fully engaged. What's happening when we have these long meetings, people when they turn off their computer, they hear about what's happening the next day through media. That's not what actually happened. So the way to readjust that is just have your board meeting certain week, certain quarter, and we introduce all of those reports into one council meeting.
What are your plans for creating and maintaining and feedback from your constituents on city related? We're kind of touched on it a little bit, so yeah, here we have to say again.
I frankly would actually carry it, that's continue campaigning, actually not know it. Go out, get to know the neighbors, you gotta go out. Where people live, and talk with them, because every block is different, this is every neighborhood is different. During works they campaign, when I was part of our ward, I had parent problems, one of them got students was gone, had to land on me. You go a block and a half, later, then you have a problem with all kinds of other things, mosquitoes, flying squirrels, some of them. Don't know that part was true, it isn't just squirrels. But we have different ones, different neighborhoods, we have, one section in Jamersburg, there is a lot of undergrowth, overgrowth, just with the trees that are on the street, where you actually, it's a heat spot. We would walk and you could feel the heat being bottled in, and folks are sitting on their porches at nighttime, that's not healthy. Because between the concrete and everything else, these are all little things that need to get taken care of, but if you go to other parts of where there aren't issues, the problems aren't the same. Or if you go down North Clinton Avenue at nighttime, pretty much every single, street lights out. From the police station to the end of the track portion of this. So there's a lot of different issues we need to handle, but you only get to that if you're out there talking to some people. And kind of like growing up, when I grew up, I remember Ed Koch, Mayor of New York, would do this thing where he would call people and say, how am I doing? Now, we can't necessarily do that now, basically, we have cell phones there, but you sort of can, find out other ways to reach people where they are. We also have a lot of older, folks in our district, so even things such as landlines, a lot of folks still do have them in their houses. But we need to, I think, get to the physical contact, because if we rely on digital or just email, things get lost in communication. And I heard from somebody today, they were on the city for a specific problem and it hasn't been addressed. So I'm gonna try to help this person with by being in physical presence. That's the best way to have something get solved.
I think I touched on this earlier to some degree, and it's all of those same things. And I would say that it's extremely important that you're touching the constituents and that they see you. They should not only see you when it's 2-3 weeks or a month before an election. And I plan to make sure that that happens. One thing about having a name like Purple Cherry, there's a phone number at the bottom of any of my information that I have. That number will be answered. I have to be accountable to you, because I can't go somewhere and say, well, did they mean the other Purple Cherry? So I will be available. I will be embedded in the community. I have been in a way. And I share an echo of thought that Ms. Williams just is that neighborhoods are different. We have a large ward, we have several neighborhoods in those wards. Some of you are concerned about people breaking your windows at night, your cars are parked on the street. Others concerned about parking permits for your respective neighborhood. Some are concerned about the guy camping out on the field over there that's involved in things that shouldn't be happening. And by the way, that there should be services for that individual that we need to start focusing on to ensure that those individuals are taken care of also. But I will be out, I'll be talking, I will be walking, I will be that's how.
You don't mind, what's your names? What's your last? Well, city council. Right, it's really that simple. How do you from council you? How do you want to share this experience? Whatever issue it may be in a certain area to go for, let's engage and let's get something done. It's really that simple. I become council, you become council. What's your name, man? Letitia. What's your last name? Queen. Miss Queen. Welcome to City Council. Right. And you go tell the rest of your block in the North Ward, you divine become council, you all become council. Let's share this experience together and get something done. Okay?
Thank you. Okay, this is gonna be the last question, and for everyone. Please describe an example of when you had to reach an agreement with others who disagreed with your perspective or I was a
Happy birthday.
Well, first of all, excuse when, I've been a football official for 30 years. So I'm often involved in situations where people don't agree with what I'm saying or what I think. But seriously, as an administrator, again, I mentioned being a part of groups that work together so you can accomplish things greater than you can home. I've worked as a COO for the health center to resolve differences and work with different groups. I've been a part of almost every sector and community and culture that this city is comprised of. There have been many times where you look at what your goal is, and as a council person, the goal is to make sure whatever you do is in the best interest and for the best interest of the people you represent. And if you keep that in mind, it's easy to then work through differences. It's easy to come to some sort of agreement as to how to move forward. Because then, if you maintain that as your focus, you eliminate many of the personal agendas, grievances, all those things that get in the way. Even egos. Not that anyone on the council ever have an ego, but just in case, maintain your focus. Doing what is most important in the best interest of.
So I guess the best this example clearly, because this was all large group was actually here in Illinois. Back in 2001 after 9/11. Myself and another member of meeting were the co-chairs of the House School. And at that point, by December, November, after everybody was trying to raise money to help with the families after 9/11, et cetera. But traditionally, the money from the House School towards improving the neighborhood, had gone towards actually hadn't started the grant program that would come up because of this house work. And myself and my co-chair, we wanted to donate money to a cause regarding 9/11, particularly in the American Red Cross if we could find out. And a lot of folks in the room at the Old Mill Society meeting were against that idea. We wanted that money to stay, trying to stay in Millville, because also at that point, millions, billions of dollars from the federal government was going to help families. And there was a lot of spirit, a lot of commentary going back and forth, no foul language. And we actually lost that vote. At about 30 people in the room. So Shannon and I got a group, okay, well, we're gonna make this the best house store ever. We're gonna have the highest amount of people come to Millville, start trying to start getting our neighborhood, start our spirit. So we worked our tails off for the next several months. We got a bit lucky, I'll admit it, the weather that day. We ended up here having 971 people come to this neighborhood. We raised a lot of money for Millville to establish a grant program in this neighborhood, which provided money for particularly neighbors who didn't have the kind of money to fix up their facade, their older neighbor or a newer neighbor, to try to maintain historical standards particularly. So that's one of the things where, okay, I lost a decision, had to move on, try to invest as far as the leadership position would go, and make it happen for me. We're real proud to say that happened, and we still hold record for the rest of the
To get all the votes we needed. We share this experience in city council. It doesn't become this about the Mayoral, it becomes about Spain, about you, sir, and you and all of you in the North Ward. But the Mayoral will be clear. I'm coming in with confidence. I was born with it. I'm coming in with a certain degree of know-how to be certain that if I had an idea, we can talk about it, we can collectively come to some type of agreement about it. Even if there's disagreement, getting to whatever the end result is, I was confident in that. So we don't want to get to this thing where there should never be disagreements anymore, because we all had this idea this past few years, a perception of ineptitude. We don't want that. But we do want people to disagree because Ms. Johnson believes that this council person should be doing it a certain type of way because he represents her needs. We don't want to get away from having a disagreement just because I want the people to think that I'm some disagreeable to get along with. But we do want people to see that there is quorum, there is a sense of professionalism in their disagreement, there is a sense of ethics, there's transparency and all that. But we want to make young people need to see that wow, they're disagreeing, they're coming to conclusions that's going to benefit this city. We don't want to run away from that. City council does represent an administrative wing. It also represents a wing to come forward with legislative policy. So that means we're going to be disagreeing. We might be arguing, maybe in there all night. Right? We can't say we have to improve it. But I'm going to do the day. I'm not going to hate my vote. I'm not going to hate Mrs. Green. I'm not going to hate the mayor. I say, man, oh, that was very good. It's cool. And it's so great because now the residents benefit. And that's what it comes down to.
One, so let's take 1 minute to kind of do your closing statements and that would be, thank you all, it's been great. Let's start with this point.
Very suggestion since the beginning of this trial, I think one person be like. But you see how that works. Okay, see how that works. Our mission is to drive the mission of the city forward. A lot of us don't even know what the mission of the city is. It's like a lot of our students go to school don't know what the mission of the Board of Education. But the mission is to make us all better citizens. Yeah. So once we leave here, or once we leave this position, those coming behind us can understand that the position has been put in a much better way. So when you get up in there, you don't have the challenges that person had when they were in. It should be a smooth transition for those coming behind us. So our mission is to drive the mission of the city forward. It's always speak to and speak from a platform to represent the needs of the people in the community, those who voted for us, even those who did not vote for us. All of us are important. I know a lot of times we overlook that. A person may not be a registered voter. We just walk by. No, you're just as important as every other person who voted. In the last 50 elections, you're just important. So that's what we're bringing to the table with the Divide for Council campaign. And again, when I become council, we all become council. Thank you.
I'm just gonna suggest that I'm a person, right?
Well, and I do want to actually, this is the third forum the board of us have done, and it's been very similar, all three forums. And I think of those all for the future. Not only as I hope it's me, but no matter what happens, we've all gotten along quite well to each other respect, hasn't been something. One of the great honors of my life is I had a chance to spend a few hours interviewing Dr. Cornell West for a video project. And one of the first questions was, why did you really get involved in politics? Why did you want to think about politics? And he said, because I wanted to make the world a better place than it was the day before. And that is something I feel a kindred spirit to him in that way. I want to make my city better. I want to make my county better, my region better. But more importantly, I want to make all of us better. By doing that for city council, that comes with the decision making you have to do, the hard decisions you have to make, things you're actually gonna have to vote upon that may not be popular. I'm proud to be standing in front of you, I'm honored to be standing in front of you, and I can't wait to get to work. We can fix this city, but we gotta do it together.
No. Thank you for this opportunity. For you to talk about campus. The city has many challenges, but I've said it before, we as a community, we can tackle. There's very intelligent people in the city. Making sure that we're taking advantage of those skills, and expertise that they have. We want our streets to be safe and our senior citizens to feel safe. We want our children to be able to ride their bicycles on sidewalks. We want our streets to be clean. We want the snow removed. We want to take advantage of the rich history of the city. Don't market that enough, in my opinion. One of the key battles of the Revolutionary War took place right in the city. It used to be the capital. Those are things that we can recapture if we work together. And the council person in the North Ward, Councilman Cherry, will be representing you and taking your voice back to the administration to develop policy.
Thank you all. I'm gonna say what I would like to do with that. And, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. I think there were, everyone is given, I feel like. So the city council is doing the, favorite uses of the city. And the hearing you guys have, when you go to the council, there is.
You can be everything.
No, she's in the way.
Oh, and I'm not, well, you could be available to.
Right. Hey, that was good.
Oh, they're gonna be, work on November 3rd.
Huh?
I'm gonna be hosting one on November 3rd at Greater AME Baptist Church. I'm organizing it. Everybody's agreed to come, so hopefully you'll come out. We'll see the flyer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Recording stop.